Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Shelf Life Extension. My name is Alexis, and today I'm going to be doing my February wrap-up. So, a lot like January, I didn't really finish a lot as far as my reading for this month, but I did finish a couple things, and so I just wanted to go ahead and talk about them, mention them a little bit, and just overall just share what I've read. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, starting with first thing that I completed to the last most recent thing that I've completed. So the first book I read this month was The Lazarus War, Book 1, Artifact, and this is by Sawyer. I picked up this book the same time that I picked up Proxima because I am super into the whole like space opera, space exploration, interplanetary travel stuff that's happening. So I was really excited for this book. Now what's really cool about this book is that it's set in a future where we have discovered this other alien race. They're called the Krell, and we're kind of at war with them, but we have come to a kind of peace treaty where there's just like, you stay on your side, we'll stay on ours, and we'll call it good. But right kind of like in between those boundaries, there's an area called the Maelstrom where really it's like, it's a free-for-all. Technically there is no Krell presence there, but you know, they have like some crazy tech, so really they can't tell. So pretty much what happens is humans sent a scientific expedition into the Maelstrom to try and figure out more about the Krell. What are their weaknesses? What can they figure out about them to try and defeat them? This scientific team, of course, stops reporting in, and they're like, the fuck? And so they want to send a team out to try and find them, see what happened, gather any information that they can or evidence, you know, all that good stuff. Which leads us to the main character in the main storyline, which is focused on a man named Captain Conrad Harris. He is in the military, and he is part of a special ops team who are specially trained to complete missions in Avatar-like bodies. So a lot like the film Avatar, where it's an actual physical biological body that is produced and then people's minds are put into those bodies. That is exactly what happens here. So they pretty much create clones of these people and just enhance the bodies to become like these war perfect things, and then they get trained to go on these missions to do those, so that way it just gets rid of the entire point of having to like have people die. Really, you just waste the money on these clones for them to manually operate. So Captain Conrad Harris and his team get picked and chosen to be sent into the Maelstrom to try and find this scientific crew because they have access to their sim bodies, and they're the only ones who are able to use them because they are legit genetic copies of them. It's really cool. I really enjoyed this book. At first it took me a little bit to kind of get into it because it is a little bit different, especially kind of getting in a mindset of like this 40-year-old man who's been in the military for a long time and he has like nothing else really going for him. So that made it kind of hard for me to get into, but I freaking love this book. It's a lot like Alien in that the Krell are kind of like the aliens and like the same kind of like, they're xenomorphs. They have like primary forms and secondary forms, and they have this whole hierarchy within the whole alien race, and it's super cool. And they're just like everything you want from like alien creatures. They just like fuck your shit up, and it's awesome. So I really enjoyed this, and I went ahead and got the second one. So yes, this one is super cool. If that's something that you're interested in, I say go for it. It was awesome. The second book I completed this month was Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I listened to this as an audiobook because my sister downloaded it on Audible, so again, I just used her account so I could listen to it. And besides Stardust, this is the second Neil Gaiman book that I've ever read. Besides Sandman, okay? But I'm not gonna count that. So, second book by Neil Gaiman. I do also own the Graveyard book. Annie from Bears Books gave that to me, I think it was a year or two ago at this point, and I still haven't read it. But yeah, so I was working on a couple puzzles. I needed something to listen to, and so Neil Gaiman it was. So I kind of have a love-hate relationship with audiobooks to begin with, because for me, even though it's a lot of fun to like listen to these different accents, especially Neil Gaiman, I freaking love his voice, and the accents that he gave the characters are awesome. I love them, and I love the characters in the book and how like it just like immerses you and gives you like so much more depth as far as the story and the characters. For me, it's kind of hard to actually just listen to something. So I feel like I get more out of the story and more understanding of what's happening simply by reading it. So I feel like although I liked the book, I probably would have loved it had I actually read it. And I almost feel like I need to read it again to really like understand what was happening and get all the details that I don't necessarily think I was able to pick up on by simply listening to it. But I definitely liked it. The entire story of Neverwhere is focused on this man named Richard who finds this girl like beaten and bloody on the ground, and he's like, the hell, and decides to help her. And by doing so, it just kind of causes him to become immersed in this entire different world that is there and coincides with his own. It's called the Underside, and how it's like this underground society where magic and other dimensions are like possible and real, and it was really cool. And he just sort of gets like dragged into it just by helping out this girl who is part of that. And so pretty much what happens is like kind of like by helping her, he became irrelevant to his own world. So you know, in our world today on the streets, like nobody would notice him. He was pretty much non-existent. He wasn't a person anymore. He was part of the Underside. So he has to go into the Underside to try and find the girl again after he helps her, so he could be like, hey, I want my life back. The hell did you do? And then it just like goes from there, and it was super cool. It was super fun. Again, I definitely love the accents that Neil Gaiman provides to all the characters, and they're so distinct. He's so good with his accents, and it's awesome. I freaking loved it. But then to wrap all of that up, definitely I feel like I kind of want to reread it again just so I can get a little bit more out of it. But still, very good read, and I highly recommend it. So yeah. And then the third and final book that I read this month was Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher. Now, the whole reason why I wanted to read this was because I watch G on YouTube, and I follow her and her husband Tom, who was in the band McFly, which is one of my favorite bands as a kid. I use that term loosely. And then of course, Tom's younger sister is Carrie, and Carrie is like my all-time favorite human being in the entire world. And so I really wanted to really just, you know, just support her. And plus I was kind of in the mood for something like a carefree romance, feel-good kind of book, which this definitely is. So the story follows a 27-year-old woman named Sophie who lives in a really small town in England, who works as a waitress in this cute little tea shop and bakery. One day, she starts hearing these rumors about town about how a new production of Pride and Prejudice is gonna be shot, like, if not in the town, at least in the area. And so a lot of the people were being like, oh, you know, you'll probably see the actors stopping by and visiting and like whatever. And so while she's working one day, just so happens that Billy Buskin, who is supposed to be set to be playing Mr. Darcy, comes into the tea shop to just, you know, kind of like get away and work on his lines. And then of course from there they meet, they kind of fall in love, and he kind of whisks her away to London and like into his entire life and lifestyle and just kind of the challenges that come from there. It was definitely an easy read, easy to get through, but with that, there's not much depth, I will say. It's neither a good nor a bad thing in my opinion. I wish there was a little bit more, but I have to keep in mind this was her first book, and if you don't follow her or know anything about her, then you wouldn't really know that she never really wrote before or wanted to really be an author. She just kind of had an opportunity to do this, and so she did. So keeping that in mind, I didn't expect like a lot out of this book. It was pretty fun. It's kind of exactly what you would expect to happen per the situation, you know, small town, village girl going to big city London and kind of feeling lost and not understanding like what's going on or like where she fits into all this, considering Billy is the one who is in the spotlight and his career is taking off, and it's just like kind of easy to understand what happens and like what goes on. I will also say though that I didn't necessarily agree with Sophie in some of the things that she says during the main conflict, which kind of put me off a little bit because I was just like, I don't know. I feel like anyone would understand that as being an actor or actress, there's just certain things that you have to do for your role to tell a story. And as much as it might make you or the actor or actress uncomfortable, it's their job and they have to do those things. And that's kind of a big thing that kind of happens in here that I was like, well, in my opinion, I don't necessarily agree with the stance that Sophie took. But either way, I really like this book. I definitely say you should check her out if you can. I had to special order this because it's not carried in stores. Obviously, she's a UK author, but I just think if you want to support other booktubers and other YouTubers just in general, I say you should just do this. It was good. Otherwise, that is all I read for the month of February. Not a lot, but it was still a couple of things, and so I'm pretty stoked about it. If you have any comments or questions, just please leave them in the comment section below, and I will try to get back to you as best and as quickly as possible. Otherwise, please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. It's a book that I picked up at the same time that I picked up, what's it called? Conrad, what the fuck is his name again? What the fuck is his name again? Captain Conrad something something something. through because they have access to their... What are they fucking called?